All right, guys, what I have done since the last video is I've created a very basic place order PHP script, and I will write it out and try and explain the basics of how the data is received, but we're not going to be learning PHP unless we get to the end of the course and it didn't take as long as I think it will, then we'll definitely jump into some PHP. What I have running here is a server, which means I can access PHP. It's an Apache web server powered by AMPS, and it has PHP 5.5 and MySQL 5 as well. If we need any of those, which we're just going to need PHP for this because we want to be able to see our form submitting. So this is the script I'm going to be building that out in, and don't worry about that right now. For right now, we're worrying about the front end, the HTML only. And so that is going to be right here. Drop that in there. So let's go ahead and just delete some of the content in here, specifically the articles. And then in the contact form section, I'm going to add a title. I'm going to follow the same format as up here, so I'm going to use an H2 element. And it's going to say contact, or let's change these. Place order. Let's remove that actually, and then let's also change the name of the site to Best Pizza Ever. Come and get some, homie. All right, so if we refresh this, this is what our page currently looks like. So we actually need to start building out our form, and how we're going to do that, first off, we're going to start adding input elements. So the element itself is input, and it is self-closing. So if I just write that, save it, and refresh, we're going to see an input here, but it doesn't really do much right now. It doesn't have any attributes or properties assigned to it. So there are about 3 or 4 different properties you are always going to be using with an input field. The first one is name. And this is not going to change how the front end looks or anything. It's just going to tell the input what it should be referred to as. So we're going to name this address 1, and we are going to give it a placeholder, which is going to be address line 1. So if I save it now and refresh, we're going to see that we get this nice little placeholder. And we can write stuff and it disappears. Now this is an alternative to the old method of creating a label above or to the side of every input. This lets it look a lot cleaner. So we're also going to be doing a bit of CSS, I guess. So what we're going to be doing is adding a class, and this class is going to be called large input. And this can be whatever you want. You can make up whatever class names you want. They're just to reference the thing within CSS. So I'm going to do a line break here, and I'm going to create another input, and this is going to be address 2. Placeholder is going to be address line 2, and again the class is going to be large input, and then we're going to put a line break. Now we're going to create a city state inputs. So input name city, and the placeholder is going to be city, and let's create a class called small input, abbreviated, and then let's put a space here and create the other one on the same line. So input name state, and the placeholder attribute is going to be set to state, so that's what the input field is going to say before anything's typed into it. And the class again here is going to be small input. And if we save it and refresh here, we see what we've got is the address line 1 and 2 on their own lines, and then the city and state on separate line, or on the same line. And that's because we're not using a line break here, so it knows these are inline elements, so it knows to try and put them all on the same line if it can fit. Kind of like span elements. Now we can change that as well in CSS. We can make a span element into a block element, but we're not going to be discussing that right here. And then the last one is going to be an input with the name zip code. I'm just going to call it zip. The placeholder is going to be zip code, and the class is going to be small input. And then we're going to save this and refresh. And we forgot to add a line break there. The zip code should be underneath the state. So there. We've added a line break to the end of the state input so that the zip would appear on the next line, and it did. So this, let's put an H4 heading called address. And then we're going to jump down a few lines, and we're going to start creating the actual order form. So we want people able to choose a size. And so what we're going to be using for this specifically is a select element. We're going to be doing that in the next video.